Welcome to Thoughts and Theories. Imagine pausing for a moment and looking at the world as if you were an outsider. You see wars on your screen. You hear about poverty, corruption, climate change, and political chaos. It is easy to think that everything is collapsing and humanity is in decline. But then you also see people living longer than ever. You see diseases that once wiped out millions, now reduced to history books. You see communication, knowledge, and freedom of expression expanding across the world. So the real question becomes something deeper. Is humanity actually getting better or worse? And how do we even measure something as complex as human progress? Let us start with the instinctive reaction most people have. Our mind is built to detect threats. It evolved in an environment where danger could come at any moment. A strange sound in the bushes, a shift in the weather, a rival tribe on the horizon. Today our environment is different, but our brain has not fully changed. News spreads instantly and is designed to grab attention. Fear grabs attention more than calm. So we constantly see the worst of humanity, even if the worst is not the whole picture. Our feelings tell us the world is falling apart, but feelings alone are not a reliable guide for understanding progress. To understand whether humanity is improving, we need to look at evidence. Let us begin with life itself. For most of history, human life was short and fragile. Until around the year 1800, the average human lived roughly 35 years. Today, the global average is above 70. In many countries, people routinely live into their 80s and 90s. This does not mean everything is perfect, but life expectancy is a direct measure of survival, and it tells us something simple. As a species, we have become better at keeping each other alive. Another measure is child mortality. In the past, families had many children because they knew some would not survive. Diseases like measles, smallpox, and cholera could wipe out populations. Today, child mortality has fallen dramatically in almost every region. Vaccines, clean water, and antibiotics have saved millions of lives that earlier generations could not imagine saving. If you compare the world of the past to today in terms of basic survival, it becomes difficult to argue that humanity is getting worse. Let us consider violence. This is more complicated because we still see conflicts around the world, and every life lost is a tragedy. But historically, the world was far more violent. Many societies practiced slavery. Empires fought constant wars. Public executions were entertainment. Today, violence still exists, but per capita deaths from war and murder have decreased over the centuries. We now have international laws, human rights frameworks, and global cooperation that never existed before. Again, improvement does not mean perfection. It means direction, and the direction across centuries has moved toward less violence and more protection for individuals. Next, we look at knowledge. Humans today have access to more information than entire universities had only a century ago. Anyone with a basic phone can learn science, philosophy, medicine, and art. In the past, knowledge was locked behind walls of power, wealth, and privilege. Today, millions of people can educate themselves without having to be born into elite families. Even if misinformation spreads online, the sheer access to learning is a leap forward in human history. Another important aspect is poverty. Extreme poverty was once the default condition of almost everyone. Today, extreme poverty has fallen from around 40% of the global population to less than 10%. Many people still struggle. Inequality still exists. But the long-term trend is clear. More humans now have access to food, shelter, medicine, and opportunities than at any time earlier. Now let us look at rights. In the past, women lacked basic freedoms. Minorities had no legal protections. Workers had no safety laws. Children were forced into labor. Today, many countries have expanded rights for women, children, and minorities. This does not mean the struggle is over. It simply means the moral circle of humanity has expanded. We care about more people than our ancestors did. That is progress. But now we need to explore the other side. If humanity has achieved so much, why do so many people feel that things are getting worse? Some of that feeling comes from valid concerns. Climate change is real. Environmental damage is serious. Technology creates new problems even while solving old ones. Social media amplifies division. Political polarization makes societies unstable. These issues are not imaginary. They are real challenges that require collective action. So how do we judge progress when good and bad exist at the same time? Philosophers often argue that progress should not be measured by perfection. It should be measured by direction and capacity. Are we moving toward solving problems? Are we more capable of fixing things than before? If the answer is yes, then humanity is progressing, even if the road ahead is difficult. Think about science. We now understand viruses, genetics, and climate systems better than ever. This knowledge does not automatically fix problems, but it gives us the tools to fix them. Earlier civilizations did not have such tools. They faced disasters with fear and helplessness. We face them with research and planning. That difference matters. Think about communication. In the past, a disaster on one side of the world meant nothing to people elsewhere because they never heard about it. Today, we hear about everything instantly. This can make the world feel worse. But it also means we can respond faster, help faster, and learn faster. The ability to care about distant strangers is its own form of progress. Another angle is moral progress. Humans today debate ethics more than ever. They question the treatment of animals, the rights of workers, the fairness of political systems, and the future of artificial intelligence. In older societies, obedience mattered more than questioning. Today, questioning is normal. That shift shows a mind that has become more aware and more responsible. Of course, progress is not guaranteed. Civilizations collapse when they ignore problems. Progress only continues when people recognize dangers and respond rationally. Climate change is a major test. Technology is another. Artificial intelligence, global inequality, and the threat of misinformation are all challenges that require careful handling. But the fact that we can identify these problems and study them with scientific reasoning already places us in a better position than past societies. So is humanity getting better or worse? The answer is not a simple one-word statement. Humanity is better in measurable ways. We are healthier, safer, more educated, more connected, and more aware than at any earlier point in history. At the same time, we face new challenges created by our own progress. That means the future depends on how we choose to use our knowledge and power. When we look at the entire picture, we see a species that has transformed its world in a very short time. A species that has reduced suffering even though suffering still exists. A species that has expanded rights even though injustice remains. A species that has created tools of destruction but also tools of healing. The story of humanity is not a straight line. It is a constant negotiation between our flaws and our potential. Maybe the real question is not whether humanity is getting better or worse. Maybe the question is whether we are willing to keep improving. Progress is not automatic. It is a responsibility, and every generation must decide whether to continue it or abandon it. When we understand that truth, we see that the future is not written. It is something we build through knowledge, compassion, reason, and action. If we choose wisely, humanity can continue to rise. If we choose carelessly, we risk losing what we have gained. But the fact that we can reflect on this question at all shows something important. We are aware, we can think, we can improve. And that ability alone is one of the greatest signs that humanity still has the potential to move forward.